What is up, you guys? Welcome back to another week and another recap. We are going to talk about everything that happened on SmackDown, Elimination Chamber, and Raw. And there was a lot of stuff to digest, so let's jump right into it. Alright, you guys, so let's start with Friday Night SmackDown. Before the show even began, Jey Uso was attacked, and that meant that his spot at Elimination Chamber was taken. And we'll come to find out that Logan Paul or Jacob Fatu were the ones that were going to be taking that spot. They would have a match to determine who would that be. And of course, it was none other than Logan Paul. And I feel like this was a given because they needed some kind of vision representation. And as we learned Saturday night, we found out why. But I feel like that either way, they were going to somehow get the vision in this storyline and in this plot because they need that to build for WrestleMania matches. It was in the beginning was going to be Bronson Reed, and of course he was supposed to qualify, and they had to call audible, so Jey ended up winning. So realistically, Jey wasn't even supposed to be in this match to begin with. Um, but unfortunately, due to Bronson's injury, he did get that spot. But I find it interesting that they are playing this like attack Jey thing because if we remember, Jacob was also attacked on SmackDown. So everyone seems to think that it was the Vision that attacked Jey, which obviously makes the most sense. But sometimes things aren't completely as they seem. So I will be curious to see if it turns out to actually be the Vision or if it was somebody else. And we saw a lot of people pointing fingers. Jacob was obviously mad at everybody. He wanted to attack Drew because he thought Drew did it. Cody came out and wanted to attack Drew as well because number one, we've seen these two beefing like crazy, but number two, he was sticking up for Jey and he thought Drew attacked Jey. I don't think it was Drew because why would Drew attack Jey? That feels so random to me, and it doesn't feel like it makes a ton of sense to happen. I don't know that Drew would even care to attack Jey because why? Like honestly, if anybody, he should have attacked like Cody because Cody was in the Elimination Chamber match as well. So I do not think Drew is the culprit. It just doesn't make any sense. But with that being said, everybody else thought he was. And then when Jacob was preparing for his qualifying match against Logan, Sammy came over. And we've seen Sammy moving a little shady lately. He was all over Cody the previous week because Cody pretty much took advantage of his position and took the spot from Sammy. Now we see Sammy pop up and say, "Well, Jacob, you were there when Jey got attacked, so maybe it was you." Sammy's given me some real weird vibes lately, and I'm wondering if he could be one of the ones on that list that's attacking people backstage at the SmackDown. But regardless, I'm sure we'll find out when it comes to WrestleMania who attacked Jey. But that set up Logan Paul to actually be in this Elimination Chamber match and have some vision representation. We also saw throughout the night Jade kind of confronting all of her possible opponents that are in the Elimination Chamber. She popped up to talk to Rhea, Alexa, all of these people. But the biggest thing that I noticed was the Rhea, when she popped up against Rhea, it was kind of a longer segment and a little more of a stare down, which made me seem to think that Rhea was obviously the favorite. Now, I will be honest with you, I never picked Rhea because I did not think that Rhea and Io were going to lose the tag titles, and I thought in order for Rhea to win, she had to lose the tag titles. And as we found out, they did, in fact, lose the tag titles on Friday Night SmackDown to close the show to Nia Jax and Lash Legend. And to be honest with you, as soon as Nia and Lash took those titles, I knew Mommy was winning at Mania or at Elimination Chamber. As soon as those tag titles were dropped, I knew that was the play. Like it just was obvious at that point in time. Um, So, shocker to close out Friday Night SmackDown. I don't know if anybody had those tag titles dropping because I think we were all kind of on the same page of we're going to have a big tag match come WrestleMania season. But obviously, WWE had different creatives for that. And with the Elimination Chamber match, the girls are the ones that kicked off the show. And I have to say, they did fantastic as always. I thought that their match for the Elimination Chamber and AJ and Becky, which we'll talk about, was both spectacular. The girls always seem to kill a PLE. Like it never fails. Um, with that being said, I was super impressed with all of them. And there was not one single person in this Elimination Chamber match that I could pinpoint and be like, oh, well, they were the weaker one. Kiana James showed up, Alexa Bliss showed up, Asuka, Raquel, Rhea, all of them. Every single one of them was fantastic. But I want to talk about Tiffy because I feel like ever since Tiffy has come back from her injury, she's really kind of showed her personality a little more. We saw the kind of like the darker colors and the darker hair, and I thought she looked spectacular, and I'm loving seeing this like comfortable side of Tiffy, a little more because I feel like before, a lot of her movements, mannerisms were just to play this role. And now I feel like she's actually playing like herself. She's showing her character, she's showing her personality, and I think that that's only going to make her excel even more. And girl showed out. But the MVP of that match for me is Raquel Rodriguez. She not only got a double elimination with Asuka and Kiana James, but she absolutely performed her ass off. And I hope the WWE is taking notes because this just proves that Raquel can be that girl. She can be that star that she needs to be. And honestly, seeing her in a title picture makes super sense after that performance. And I will say justice for Alexa Bliss because I did not expect her to go down first. But I think this is going to play into her and Charlotte's tag because Charlotte's all down and out right now because she lost her chamber match. Now Alexa's going to be down and out because she was the first to be eliminated during the chamber. And I think this is going to play into that very well. But what I will say is I am happy with the call to make Rhea win. I think a Jade and Rhea match is spectacular, and it is probably my second match that I would pick for WrestleMania card because I wanted Bianca and Jade for the history that they have there, but but don't get me wrong, Rhea is not a second choice. She is a dominant female just like Jade, and I think they're both going to do great things. We've already seen a little Twitter war. So I think that this match is perfection, and if they book it and let it play out, it is going to be a huge match for WrestleMania. Then we move on to AJ Lee and Becky Lynch. And of course, AJ Lee won the title as she should have. And then Becky, let's talk about Becky because Becky always finds a way to screw herself and then blames other people. Like Becky, let's be honest. If you hadn't have removed that turnbelt buckle, you wouldn't have went into it and got busted open and then got put in a Black Widow to tap out twice. So Becky always finds a way to do something that cost her, but then tries to blame someone else. And at this point in time, I feel like we're getting Becky Lynch versus Jessica Carr at WrestleMania because those two have been beefing like crazy. Becky is now calling for her referee license, and I just feel like I really enjoy this Becky. I think it's really fun. I think that she is just the biggest menace ever, and I think it's fun. But what I will say is changing that title hands and letting AJ have it opens up the doors for numerous competitors. Because AJ Lee, when she was in wrestling prior in the Divas era, she um was ahead of her time. Like her wrestling was ahead of what the women were doing at that point in time. And no shade to the women there because obviously like Nikki's still around, Natty's still around, Naomi's still around. Those girls could wrestle It's just the WWE didn't really give them the opportunities that they have now. So giving this title to AJ, who is already a fantastic wrestler, with the roster that we have now who match her energy, is going to be great. And there's a long list of people that she could face. She could face Natty, she could face Lyra. Bailey would be a huge matchup because they have chemistry off of the out of the ring. So adding that chemistry in the ring would be great. And as we know, as we saw on Raw, there is going to be a qualifying match for the person in line for this title. But I think that AJ having this title going into Mania is only going to build this title, and it could be honestly a bigger feud depending on who they choose than any of the other titles, because we haven't seen AJ with the title for so long and we know what she could do. Then we move on to Finn and Punk. And honestly, this one to me was kind of like the just layup match because we knew that Punk was not losing that title. Um, there's no way that they're going to take away Punk and Roman. Like, it's not going to happen. So we knew that Punk was going to retain. Finn didn't have a chance. However, I will say Finn did remind us all of what he is capable of as a singles competitor. And I think that we need to continue to remember that. And I think that he needs to continue to be in the singles title. He needs to forget about the Judgment Day. Stop trying to daddy daycare those kids because it's not working for him. He needs to continue to be this singles competitor and really continue to shine and go back to the Finn that we all know. What I will say is I felt like this was going to kind of set up the Judgment Day breaking up. I thought that Dom or JD was going to come out and interfere and accidentally cost Finn to piss him off. But hindsight's 2020, because if you think about it, they did not come out because Finn said he could do it on his own, which set us up for Monday Night Raw, where Dom wanted their help and Finn was like, no, he said he could do it on his own. So it ultimately did set up the storyline that I think we're moving towards. It just wasn't in the way that I thought it was going to be. Then, of course, we had the box reveal. Honestly, it was a little lackluster. No shade to him at all. I don't know much about him. I really don't. He was really funny on Raw last night, to be honest with you, with cursing Dom and his list of demands or whatever. But I feel like the box reveal, because they built it up for so many weeks, was disappointing because we thought it was something bigger than that. And I feel like they could have just done that on like Raw or SmackDown. It didn't feel like a PLE moment to me. And I also don't know where he fits in with the WWE roster. So hopefully they find somewhere for him. I'm just not really sure what that looks like because we still have Royce Keys, who they signed and debuted at Royal Rumble, that we haven't seen. So I don't know where he fits in. Hopefully he fits in, and hopefully he does good, but to be determined. And then finally, to close out the Elimination Chamber, was the men's match. And this one was satisfyingly shocking because I just had already convinced myself that Cody Rhodes was winning. Like, I just feel like there was no way in hell the WWE was going to let their boy lose. And they did. Randy Orton won the Elimination Chamber, well deserved, got his opportunity for WrestleMania. But there was a lot of chaos before we got to that winning match. I have to say, I will give flowers where flowers are due. Logan Paul showed up and he did excellent during this match, especially with like the time that he had to prepare, because he was thrown into this match on Friday, didn't have a whole lot of time to prepare for the match. An Elimination Chamber match, because of the pods and the cage and everything, is kind of one that you need to prepare for. So I give him a lot of credit. I'm surprised he eliminated as many people as he did. That just, I guess, shows the faith that WWE has in him. Trick Williams, Javon Evans are two absolute stars, and they are going to go far in this company if they continue to book them well. I will say I expected a crazy move from Javon and Logan because those are the two high flyers of the um really roster. So I expected them to do a crazy stunt. It did not happen, and that might be because of the little time that Logan had to prepare. We've seen a lot of injuries, and we don't need another one. But it was very good. And of course, as Logan Paul is trying to eliminate somebody else, trying to defeat somebody else, we see the mask man. And it is first a decoy. Then it is the true mask man in Seth Rollins, the big reveal that the visionary has returned. Paul Heyman was screaming his head off on the sideline, and Austin Theory went MIA because he was on the side, and then when Seth appeared, he was gone. So don't know where he went. But the big reveal in Seth Rollins was not a shocker, but it was satisfying because everyone's like, we were speculating all along that this had something to do with Seth, and then that just showed that it did. And Seth Rollins is always one step ahead. He is always one step ahead. It never fails. And so I feel like this plan is going to develop even more going forward. We saw him show up on Raw with 19 different masked men and then do the shield chair hit to Paul Heyman and stomp him out. So Seth always has a plan, and he's got a plan moving forward to WrestleMania, and I'm interested to see what it is. But then Drew, of course, came in, cost Cody after Nick Aldis already warned him to stay away, and Randy ended up winning. But then we saw when the show goes off that Nick Aldis, fed up with Drew McIntyre and his shenanigans, made a match for this Friday for the championship, Drew versus Cody. And I will say I'm kind of I don't know what I want to happen here. I don't really want Cody to win because then I feel like that's an asterisk. Like you were giving this title because Drew couldn't stop pestering people. But then I feel like Randy and Cody would be a better match than Drew and Cody. Um, so I don't know. I'm kind of torn. What I honestly kind of hope happens is I hope that Jacob Fatu comes in and just lays them both out and we get a fatal four way. Because I think with everything and all of the moving parts going on, that's the best solution. So we will see what happens Friday night, and of course we'll talk about it next week. But I feel like that's the best movement at the moment. Then Friday Night Raw. Wow. Monday Night Raw. So I will be honest with you, Monday Night Raw after Elimination Chamber was a little lackluster for me. Nothing super major happened. We had obviously Seth Rollins popping up in the beginning, which is a great moment. Roman Reigns and Punk closing out the show with some pretty aggressive words, which was a great moment. And then Dom losing his title. And honestly, I don't love that move, but I feel like there's a long-term story there, and I feel like it's all gonna play out. So I'm not gonna criticize. I think that there's going to be a long-term move, and I think we're still gonna get Finn and Dom for that title at WrestleMania. I think there's just going to be a little heat added to that before we actually get that. So overall, we had a really good weekend of wrestling. Elimination Chamber to me honestly was like 8.5 out of 10. I thought it was great. The Friday Night SmackDown beforehand I thought was great. Monday Night Raw was okay, but when you have a big superstar like Seth that is going to start the show and a huge superstars in Punk and Roman that are going to end the show, everything in the middle is going to be just kind of lackluster, honestly, because we're waiting for that moment for Roman to return. We haven't seen him on TV in a few weeks, and so we were just waiting for that, honestly. So the middle was honestly just a filler. I do feel like we're setting up for the Usos versus the Vision, Austin Theory, and Logan Paul. We saw that Big Jim attacked Austin, then had a match with him, and then Jay come out to assist. And so I feel like that's definitely on the play card. But I feel like as we're moving into WrestleMania season, we are really getting into like the thick of it. And it's not shaping out to be so bad. I'm actually very excited to see how this continues to grow. and where we go from here. But let me know, what was your favorite part of the Elimination Chamber, and what match are you hoping gets added to the match card? As always, subscribe, like, comment, follow me on our socials, and I'll see you guys next week.